This is the e-bike that I spent a while building. After I sold my van, I put all the money towards building this. And I think it came out very good. Just under $800 invested in it, which is almost all of what I sold the van for. I sold the van for $1,000. It's dirt cheap, but someone needed it. So it's got a speedometer, a USB charger to power the speedometer, and to charge the phone. There's another cable here, goes up into the bottom. I got two of these flashlight mounts for it. Eventually I'll get rechargeable flashlights or something, but those are pretty neat. And I ordered this motorcycle little thing. So it's got a horn. I need to get a better, louder horn, but it's got a horn. This switch was originally for like high and low beams or something for your headlight. I wired it up to the motor controller for this, which is inside here. It had like a little, like a high gear, low gear thing. And so instead of leaving that plugged or unplugged, I wired it up to this so that I can have high, which is when it's all the way over here, and low when it's pushed towards the right. So I can go 10 miles an hour or 23 miles an hour. And that is the speeds. It's 10 miles an hour in low, 23 miles an hour in high. And it does fine. I am still going to put some vent holes here and back here on the other side, and possibly a fan in there. This has six hoverboard batteries in there, down at the bottom, and then the motor controller on top, and then a rat's nest of wiring, plus a security system, two 12-volt converters. One's wired in through the accessory on the motor controller. The other one is wired in direct to the battery for the security system. And then there's these originally for motorcycles. I've adapted them to be mounted on here. They're solid, they're not going anywhere. The blinkers are the blinkers, they work. If you can see it, I've got a key switch here. This one works the luggage trunks. This key is the key for the key switch. You just turn it on. Just like that. And this system wasn't designed it didn't have a wire or anything for a key switch already. So what I did is I just found the wire that works that button on the motor controller. I found the wire coming out of that harness that works it, and I spliced in with it. So it's basically in line with that button, so it does the same as this button. So I could just leave that button on if I wanted to and just use the key switch. It's the same as it's that button. It does the same thing. Yeah, that's the speedometer. It's just a cheapo, I forget, I think it's like $12 or so. Oh wait, so it just like runs on satellite instead, which means it's a little off. I could probably, it came with instructions on how to calibrate it, but it's like 1 or 2 miles an hour off. And it's never always above or always below. It's just usually off in one direction or the other. But I'll figure out how to calibrate it. For the most part, I use my tablet, which mounts here. This is a tablet mount, not just a phone mount. It gets big. Really big. It gets like that much bigger. And I put my tablet here, which is what I'm on right now. So this was a special mount, and I modified it as well. So I used like a, it hardens and everything, it's like a putty that you squeeze together the two parts and mix them together, and then you put it on stuff like a JB Weld kind of putty. I still need to make that black to match it, but yeah, I reinforced the little neck. I found the right position that I like, and I reinforced it. Also, this is glued on. It's the little mount back there because it popped off at one point hitting a bump. I updated these. These used to be the twistable shifters, and it doesn't work with all this extra stuff. Obviously, you can't use the twistable shifters. So I had to get the thumb shifters, which wasn't that bad. I've had bike shops tell me they couldn't figure out how to relace shifter gears and tune the shifting. I've done this like 3 or 4 times to several different bikes. It's super easy. I don't know why bike shops ever complain about it. Lacing them, the shifter the cables and then tuning it to actually shift properly is not that hard. You can do it without even riding the bike. Just upside down. Yeah, and the other one's like this, and it's got the little quick release button. Makes it nice. Ever since I've installed all 6 batteries, I have yet to drop even 1 bar or even flicker. And I've been riding this thing like crazy. It's kind of neat. But yeah, and then there's the USB port. I kind of wished I had gotten one without a gauge on it, because I mean it's hooked to a 12-volt converter. So even if the batteries are dipping, that 12-volt converter should always say 12 point. It should say the same number all the time. I mean, because it's hooked to a 36-volt system. I mean, I doubt that I'm ever gonna go that dead. So I mean, I don't know. At least it lets me know that the converter's still working. I mean, the fact that that turns on also lets me know. So yeah. And then there's the security system, which is in there. Right now it's turned off, obviously. And it comes with 2 keys for the, or 2 key fobs for the security system. I have 2 complete keychains for this. Both keychains have the same stuff on them. So yeah, this is unlocked. It does that. And then there's lock, which, and then, you know, you just kind of, just like that, and it goes off. And it'll just keep doing that. It'll keep going off every time you try to move it. It'll beep for a few seconds and then stop. If you're still trying to move it, it'll keep going off. It's pretty neat. Now, I'll show you in here, and you're gonna be like, that's a rat's nest of wires. I'm not as good at consolidating. I am good at wiring things up and making things work pretty dang good. But making them look pretty, I would not call me an expert on that. Right here's right now where I got the lock stored. I have been using it also as a cup holder as well, but because it is a cup holder. But right now, so I might just get a regular cup holder eventually. Yep, a rat's nest of wiring. I also have an extra charger stuffed in here too. It's that box down there, just for if I'm out somewhere and need to charge it. But with this size battery, I don't think I'm gonna need to charge it out ever, but always prepared. There's my blinker relay, which that's been rattling around in my toolbox for years, like 6 years. Finally put it on a project. Batteries are all hooked together. Right here's where I spliced into the batteries for the stuff that's hardwired in, like the charging port is hardwired into the batteries, and the security system is hardwired into the batteries with its converter, which is right there. Its converter is right there. It's kind of, nothing has a place. One of these days I might go through all of this and give it all a place and consolidate it better. I mean, but it's all here, it's all hooked up properly, you know, not just all electric taped, it's actually heat shrinked and everything. And what needs to be doubled up on the heat shrink is doubled up. And it's all like this in ways that when it's tugging on stuff, it can't tug on the connection itself, it's tugging on the heat shrink. I like that, because some of it is connected just straight inline and then heat shrink, but some of it's not. And the stuff like this that's a rat's nest, I made sure it's, because it can get caught on stuff if I'm dicking around in here, I made sure if it does get caught, it's not tugging on the connection. It's just tugging on the heat shrink. So I try to make sure it's safe and decent. I've ridden it and stuff. It does get warm in here, but that's because this is a black box with, it's airtight when I zip it up. So I still have to, as I said before, make vent holes and stuff, and probably put a fan in here, up here somewhere. So that means I'll definitely have to consolidate all these wires, zip tie them together and stuff like that, and kind of make it smaller so I can fit a fan in here. Yeah, and then this is just the signal wire for the security system. It actually has a wire that coming out of it for auxiliary power, like a 9-volt battery or something. But it drains the battery dead too quickly. It came with one, and I was using it with it for a little bit, but so I'm not gonna hook it back up to a battery. But yeah. So we got the key switch wired in, it goes down into there. All the actual stuff's wired in. And then all of these wires are all brightly colored, but I did loom up all the wiring harness because all the wires I used were just scrap wires that I had in my basket of wires over there. There's a couple of chargers sitting on top, but I have just random scrap wires over there. So all these wires were just random colors, and I just had to pay attention to make sure I hooked them up at both ends correctly and all that stuff. But since they were just random colors, it kind of looked ugly, so I loomed it up with just electric tape. Yeah, and since this is made to just actually like screw into something, see it's on there. It's on there really good actually. But yeah, since it's made like that, so the ends were just raw ends on the back, I loomed up all the way up against to the back of it too. But yeah, it's on there really good. See, from a distance it doesn't look bad at all. It's just a little crossed connection holding it on there. I mean, hell, this isn't even made for a bike. This is made for a car. This ain't made to mount on a bicycle. I made it mount on a bicycle. It's mounted on the center there. It's zip tied as well, and then wrapped in tape, and then zip tied again, and then wrapped in tape. Because it was, it's a flat surface where it sticks to your car, sitting on a round bar. So I had to do a lot of reinforcement. And it does not look bad at all because it's black, and it blends in with everything, which is good. The wiring harness ended up looking pretty good. It's kind of beefy. It's a big thick wiring harness for a scooter like this. A lot of wires. But I mean, it's done. Now the blinker switch actually doesn't work right now. This side works. The driver's side works, but the right hand side over here does not. So I have the wires disconnected out that go to that switch, and I've ordered another 3-position switch. This one's just a regular 3-position switch that goes on your handlebars. It's not even technically a blinker, it's a round one. I'm gonna try and like cut this off and drill a round hole in here with some of my stepper bits and insert it in here and then wire it. But I mean, the reason I have these dangling is because I'm most likely gonna end up mounting it over here somewhere, and then it's just a 3-position switch, so I already know which wires are which on this. Just gotta cut them out of here, solder on little ends, and loom it up and make it look pretty. Connect it to the other switch. The other switch probably got a wire that's like this long, but of course I don't need all that. I'll just cut it down to come to here. Because I figured why these wires already go through the wiring harness. They're already connected to everything. All I got to do is either connect the middle one with the black one, the red one with the black one, and I get a blinker, the red one with the white one, and I get one blinking, or the red one with both of them, and I get them both blinking. So yeah, there's no point in rerunning new wires and everything. I can just connect in right here. Make it easy on myself. So the project's pretty much done except that. And that's going to be like a month out because the only 3-position switch with a handlebar mount. I'm hoping not to have to use the handlebar mount. I'm hoping I can just pop it out and put it in here. After I adapt this and drill a hole if it's small enough. I think there's enough gap in there to fit it and do it all, but yeah, we'll see. I might end up having to put it over here, which would be a little annoying, every time you want to turn you have to go way over here. But that's okay, and then I probably would accidentally be hitting my high-low gear there. Horn works, but it's just like, I think it's pretty much like a fire alarm horn. Like what's in a fire alarm in your house, those cheapos. But this came off of another actual scooter. That's me hitting the horn. It's even quieter when this is zipped up, obviously. Another reason I need vent holes, make things louder. So yeah, it came off of another like 24 volt system scooter that I had for parts or something. But so that's my horn for now. It doesn't really, it's useless really. I just wired it in to have the circuit wired in. I can cut it off and wire in a better one later. There we go. Yeah. So that's that, and then these, I still got to peel off the blue stuff. That's like a blue little piece of plastic film. These are just, that's just a receipt from going to the store. They're just plastic and they're hollow. They're mounted pretty good to these metal frames. That's the hole they originally want you to run the wire, but I made new holes that are convenient for my situation. They clip down just like that, and they both are the same. Now, the rack that all of this is attached to is just like a 20-pounder rack. These are only made to hold 20 pounds, which I am exceeding and all that, but I'm exceeding because I've modified the rack. I have these struts I made that bolt to the rack and bolt down here to the little like accessory attachment point. Those two little holes bolt down to one of them. So yeah, and there have a tail light as well that lights up when you turn the key on, when you turn it on. Yeah, these tires are decent. These are the ones that came on the rim. This is just a hub drive. I already had a disc. I just didn't have disc brakes or anything. I had this disc just in my toolbox somewhere from another bike that I took apart and saved some parts off of. So I thought, well, I'd get rid of the old clamp brakes. And so I ordered an adapter and a disc caliper, which I then had to adapt the adapter to my bike and adapt the bike to the adapter that I adapted to the bike, because I had to drill a hole in the frame, a little bitty hole, and that's like, this has 3 bars back here, so I felt okay drilling a little hole. There's enough support here. I still don't like, I really want to weld this up right here, or make a, I don't know, I just don't trust this. I've seen them go bad, and I've got enough weight. This thing weighs damn near 100 pounds, maybe more. But yeah, so I got disc brakes. It took a little bit of finagling to get them on there and get them aligned good. But yeah, and this thing here, I like these supports I made. They work pretty good. And I put this kickstand on it. Finally got it on there tight. I might end up still welding it on eventually when I get a welder again. But right now I had to replace the original bolt that came with it with the old kickstand's bolt, because the original one stripped out when I tightened it. This one didn't strip out, but I also found a nut that fit in that hole, and it's on there too. Right now it's kind of more or less on there finger tight-ish, yeah. But if this ever gets loose and I have to keep tightening it and stuff, I can, and something happens, I can use that. And I'm hoping the whole thing doesn't strip out. It's just because there should be enough threads on the end of it to just tighten this, if I have to, with a big heavy-duty flathead or something jam in there against it. Yeah, this bike was originally a 15 speed, and it is now a full 21 speed, thankfully. It originally was 15 speed, and so then I have another set of wheels over there. I had a 7-sprocket rear tire off another bike that I put on the back of it, hoping I could turn it into a 21 speed. Well, no, I realized quickly with the twist shifters that came on this, you couldn't go into that extra couple of gears on the back because the shifters don't have the positions for it. They only had like 5 positions. So I needed shifter for the back derailleur, a shifter with 7 positions. So that's another benefit, not just like making it easier to shift with these thumb shifters, but also these thumb shifters are for a 21 speed. So I get the use of all the speeds, because this wheel is also for a 21 speed. It's got the 7 sprockets. One of those over there is the original 5-sprocket wheel, and the other one, I think the one with the tire is the 5-sprocket wheel. And the one with no rim on it, it's kind of barely visible, or no tire on the rim, is the 7-sprocket one. It's got worn out bearings anyway, it's the other 7-sprocket one. I just save them because they come in handy. The spokes even come in handy. That's good strong wire. You can cut it up and use it. It holds its shape pretty good. But yeah, suspension's kind of worn out on the front of this thing. The suspension in the seat still works. It's got like actual suspension in the seat bar itself, not just those, but the seat bar is a suspension. I know it's pretty much sitting on top of that, but you remember there's not much here. It can actually come down and rub on it a little bit. It's not as big a deal. But that's it. That's my e-bike. 23 miles an hour is as fast as I've had it. on the flats. I think it was like 25 or 27 going down hill. That's pretty much it though. Let me know what you think.